I got it. I took it, but I forgot.
We were cheering. There you go.
Yeah,
So I remember seeing it on like CNN and MSNBC.
I think that was in 2015.
And the reason that I'm just trying to refresh it, because you've been on the show before, so welcome back. But I'm refreshing my memory because thanks. Yeah, so it's great to have you back, especially because I feel like what you see in the helicopter is so relevant to what's going on in Santa Cruz right now. And so I want to refresh people about how you came to the conclusion that you wanted to share this.
Yeah, I mean, so we've been doing flight training and tours and charter over the bay forever. And so we go way, way back to the beginning when we started Specialized. It's like, it's 2005. And a few years after that, we had started seeing the great white population increase. And this is because of, conservation for so many years, and the sharks have been protected. And after a few years, they start to multiply out there. The pinnipeds, which are the seals and elephant seals and whatnot out there, kind of the populations are going up a little bit, so the food source is going up for the larger sharks. But the little sharks, the food source hadn't really kicked off yet, it seemed to be. So as we go along in the years, everything was doubling. One year we see one, the next year we see two, then it's 4, 15. Now you go out there, you can count 50 sharks if you fly the Monterey Bay from one side to the other. So it's freaky. So over the years, right, you get those really nice clear water days. You go, wow, there's so much clear water. Or are they always there when it's murky also? So over the years, we've just kind of grown to understand that the great white sharks population has increased. We've seen so many more attacks. I mean, there was a thing today where somebody on a film, I just heard my wife say, hey, did you see the shark jumping out of the water at the point?
Oh, yeah, from the surf camp.
Yeah, surf camp. I mean, what kind of nuanced, interesting, we didn't see that before we were kids. We've had surf camps there forever, right? So all this stuff is happening. And with our flight school and the tours, people just every time they go out, hey, it's more and more, it's like a daily event, right? So the issue is, there's a lot of great white sharks in the water. We've just taken up a lot of scientists, a lot of naturalists over the years, and they all just, every single one of them is surprised. And when you get these guys that are studying sharks every day to say, wow, that's surprising on every flight for every year we've done, for all these people, it just becomes, it's a little bit overwhelming. From our perspective, we kind of say, well, hopefully we've gotten the word out to everybody, being on CNN, like you talked about, on the news and in the local papers and everything. Yet we still find surfers that go out and say, wow, I didn't know there's great white sharks in the bay.
Well, it's crazy. That shark that jumped that you saw in the surf camp, did you see
that
footage? Okay, well, it's pretty impressive.
Look,
at Jack O'Neill's paddle out, we saw the same thing. And we were in the boat, and we were going to do a show for the paddle out, and right in front of us,
It was foggy as hell.
it was foggy. Big and jumped, breached really high out of the water, and made a big splash, and it was pissed. It had its back arched, its mouth open, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy. But I wanted to go back to when this very started. So when you first saw, how long ago when you saw your first great white shark from the sky?
Oh, wow, that would be quite a substantial time ago. So I've been flying for basically 40 years, and I think I was, this would probably be around 2002 maybe, was the first really, there's a big one. Well, you have to understand what's happening today versus what was then and where these sharks are, what's really happening out there. In large measure, the sharks are around 10 feet or less. The 12-footers out in our New Brighton area, that gets to be the larger size. We see some 15-footers mixed in every once in a while, and every once in a while you see a really big dinosaur down maybe towards Marina, where they get up to about, it seems more like closer to 20 feet than they are 15. And these look more like whales. Those kind of sharks are predominantly up there at on Nuevo. You'll see them up there in San Francisco Bay. Sometimes I see them up in there. The really bigger stuff is up where the seals like to be. Down here, we get the smaller ones. We get little babies, and we can get, they're born, I think they're born anywhere from 3 to 4 feet. These are smaller creatures. Now, are they a salmon shark, or are they another type of shark? I'm not down there flipping them over.
Right, basking sharks.
Well, we don't see basking sharks. I've seen a couple of basking sharks. But in the early days, we were seeing the large ones. Then it became, okay, wait a second. A few years back especially, we start to see so many little ones. And that was totally different. So as we see the evolution of the sharks, big ones, then now there's smaller ones and there's teenagers, and it just kind of seems that they're following the food source more than anything else.
Right, and there's more resident, seems like, too, right? They're sticking around.
Oh, there's no, people say, oh, there's a season. There's no season.
Right, it's all the time now.
Yeah.
We had a tragedy, Ben Kelly.
Horrible. This is what we've been, this is the thing we say, well, we're mixing together. Humans and sharks, we're going to have more of this. And this is the thing I was kind of getting to, is like, it's really surprising that we keep finding people that are surprised there's so many great white sharks, to the point of, I've taken some people out there that were, understand, they're in a little more of a position of power, they understand that could be potentially a problem, they go out there and their eyes light up. Oh, because telling somebody, hey, there's sharks in the bay, doesn't really hit the board,
Right.
But when you see them from above and you see that many and you see what they're doing and how they're behaving, it triggers something in the brain. It's totally different than showing them a picture, showing them Shark Week, or telling them, hey, be alert out there. And when we had the junior guards going on out there, I took my kids out, out of junior guards. So this is what I wanted to outreach. I said, at least parents should know that there's lots of great white sharks in the water. Then they can make the choice,
Right.
Send the kid out.
And the kids should know. And we had parents saying, don't tell my kids, they won't want to get in the water. I won't tell your kids, but you should.
And
Yeah.
recently, let's go back to Ben Kelly. The week before, were you seeing sharks up and down the coast during that time?
Yes.
So no surprise that this tragedy happened.
Well, it's always a surprise, and it's probably one of the most, you're like, talk about, completely random, and you just don't know when, and you couldn't bet on this, right?
It's unpredictable.
It's a little beyond unpredictable because it's so rare to happen in the first place. And so we had so much history of this, nobody gets hurt in a shark. That's not something you worry about as a surfer. I mean, you freak out about it, but nobody gets bit in surfing. Let's admit it, surfing is probably the safest sport in the world.
For sure. and physically too.
So maybe this is the danger. They're like, hey, we're tough, we surf. There's there's sharks in the water. Are you kidding me? We're, put it up against football. There's no injuries in surfing, right?
Well, I always tell everybody it's more dangerous to cross the street to go surfing
it is more
than it is to go surfing.
Totally. So this is a very safe thing. So we kind of I think people enjoyed the fact that hey, there's so many sharks in the water. Right on, Chris. Keep telling people because it keeps the people that are maybe afraid of that out of the water.
Right. It was always a joke.
It's kind of a joke. So this kind of the other week rolled along, and I had started seeing more sharks, and people kept asking, when are they going to be here? I said, they're here. I don't know what to tell you. If the water's clear, I'll see a lot. If it's dirty, we're going to see one or two, if we're lucky. But I said, there's kind of an interesting thing happening. I don't see any food source in the bay. Where are the whales?
What is that food source?
Well, the biomass in the Monterey Bay is off the hook. It's unbelievable how many fish, dolphins, seals, sharks, whales, krill.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's usually just on fire. It's like I've never seen it before. There's so much happening out there. A famous scientist has been, touted as the Serengeti, the ocean Serengeti. It's really this amazing. It is one of the deepest longshore marine environments. It's amazing. I mean, I'm not a biologist or anything, a marine biologist at all. But just seeing it every day, all day long, if you wait 5 minutes, it changes.
Well, and I fished a lot. We're back in business, so I didn't have as much time on my boat. But for the month of April, I fished a lot, and the bay is full of bait. You see it move around up there from the helicopter, but the bay feels very healthy right now.
Yeah.
And
Well, it wasn't just before Ben's attack, and that was the thing. We had seen sharks. They have a hunt mode versus a sleep mode, and it's a different picture, and it's very easy to spot. You go, that one's sleeping, that one's awake, that one's hunting, whatever. This one's going, and usually they don't hunt along the shoreline. They get off, they beat feet all the way out the middle of the SoCal Canyon or something. They go out to the kind of the middle of the bay, and they eat, they come back and sit in the warm water, and they digest. So they're a big fat kid after turkey dinner and Thanksgiving, they're just like relax and they're sleeping. They have to keep moving.
Right.
That's their sleep
but they're
mode.
barely moving, right?
They do the circles, they investigate. It's like they're just half awake, like a drunk kid.
So let's jump ahead. You recently saw a shark kind of in stalk mode with a surfer in the water.
Right. So in Ben's case, at that time, it just seemed like there was no food in the water, and it was at this difference. And so we had seen a lot of weird activity, and I said, hey, everybody that I knew in the community, sharks are acting different. Just so you know, I said, if there's a time, this is the year that we really got to be a little more cognizant of. And then I was doing a training flight, and here's this kid Damon. Turns out, great guy. We interact a little bit on Facebook.
Oh, what's his name?
Damon.
Damon. Okay.
And so
Damon, if you're watching.
Damon, if you're watching.
Yeah.
So I just took off out of one of the airports, and I take a little left turn. I'm with a student who's flying. He's a brand new student, so he wasn't like that great on the controls. I couldn't take pictures or anything exciting of it. But anyway, there's this 12 or 13 foot great, 11 to 13 feet, circling this guy in a not so fun bed. And when I've seen him under people all the time. It's really constant, actually. You see him under stand-up paddlers, and you see him
Did
around
that happen to you?
surfers.
Last year, yeah, I had one.
Yeah.
Last year I had one right next to me. I don't know where he came from.
They just check you. Yeah, they're smelling around. They just do this.
Came right next to my board and sat there.
Yeah.
I looked down, oh, shh. But then I go, it's beautiful.
So
Then I
they
went
come
in.
up real slow. Right?
Yeah, I didn't even
You're
know it
like,
was there.
he's kind of going about my pace.
I didn't even know it was
That's
there.
different. That's when they're sleeping. They're just kind of subtly investigating. Maybe they'll take a test bite. You never know. So this time it was different. He was moving he made a circle around that guy about as fast as I could.
He was picking up the pace.
Well, he was doing something. He was
Right.
checking him out in a heavy way. Then he dives out, and when they move quickly, you know something's up. And so what he did is he dove away, and my first instinct was, okay, move it. The shark went deeper and bailed offshore. Maybe he felt the presence of the helicopter. So then I see him make a turn and come back towards the guy, and they do kind of almost a kind of a run.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing that, I had about, he was about 30 feet away from the guy, and I just kind of put the helicopter in bank turn and put the shadow, that was just luck. But I was going in to warn the guy, I was going to do a kind of dive at him. This just looked like one of those moments. And regardless of whether I was right or not, as soon as my shadow passed the nose of the shark as he was coming up, he turned. And he was moving quick, then he turned and kind of went like this.
Hmm.
Something interacted with the
Something
shark.
spooked him.
Well, I don't know if it spooked him, just gave him a second thought, and right at that time, then the shark kind of calmed down, and the Damon just paddled right over the top of the shark.
Wow. And how did you track them down and tell them this?
Well, at that moment I said, that's it. People that really, I need to get this word out, because what's happening is the sharks, people are they're taking it a little too cavalierly. It's like see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw a guy, some people in this world would see somebody holding the bank and be like, oh, okay, maybe we should go over here. I just kind of want to run into the thing and grab the guy. And I think that's just kind of my attitude towards it. Sometimes the great white sharks are something not to be worried about, and sometimes they are. I don't want to kill great white sharks. Nothing of the sort. I think they should be protected, and everything is great the way it is. But I do think that public awareness and letting people know that there's some scary shit that could go on out there.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to know this, and that's what happened.
I had a friend of mine who surfs at Manresa all the time, really good buddy of mine, surfs at Manresa, and I said, have you been back surfing? He goes, well, I moved down the beach a little bit in front of the hotel. Like,
great.
What is it? Quarter mile?
So the sharks are from basically Moss Landing all the way up to New Brighton Beach. You barely see them in Capitola or beyond, but of course they're out there transiting. And then if you want to see aggressive shark behavior, you go down Salinas River and towards Marina and all the way to Monterey.
Well,
that's the place you don't want to surf.
Right.
That's high risk.
I saw a Facebook post that you put out basically saying, I wouldn't be in the water. The one that's, I've seen it bouncing around. Maybe you could.
I've been saying that for probably 8 years.
But it's this particular, this was recent.
Yeah, the recent one,
Your recent post, it had urgency kind of in it.
Well, that's the thing. So the bay there was no food in the bay. You could see the fish were gone and the sharks were moving fast, and that's the time when you say, okay, so we got these. And then I saw this, heard about Ben, and then I saw this interaction with Damon, and these things are happening, and everybody and everybody I know that surfs has had some interaction with a great white shark. At one point, you lose the bet.
Right.
You will lose the battle between a great white shark and a human being. You can't win that.
Right.
It's funny, have you been up the helicopter? Has he been up?
Have you been up?
I haven't been up, no.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd like
Weren't
to.
you scared of flying?
No, my wife said I couldn't go in
Oh,
helicopters. But no, she said I can't have a street bike and I couldn't go in a helicopter, but I went recently to Kauai and she let me go in a helicopter.
Oh,
So
that's
I
cheap.
think she's
When
letting me.
I went over there with him, you do look down.
You confident to go, by the way?
You look down and just no, it's coughing. And it's like you look down, and you go, fuck, it's Times Square for sharks. They're everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one time we went over, that little pocket was just open. It was foggy, but there was a little pocket on the other side of the cement boat on the Santa Cruz side. You look, it just looks clear, and you look down, and you're like, holy shh. Yeah.
You can't, no
Huh?
customer, sorry.
No, we can
No,
swear.
we
You can
can
swear all you want.
Occasionally. Yeah, it's enlightening, isn't it? Well, I encourage everybody to see it from the top, whether you YouTube it or video or whatever, and then you kind of get the perspective a little bit. It's a totally different ballgame.
How much of your, because you have a couple different types of, you have the blue helicopter, right?
We got 12 aircrafts.
Oh, you have 12 now? Of course.
Yeah.
But I see your blue one flying back and forth here all the time. Are they all
so
blue?
we fly the most, our average helicopter we have is the most common aircraft on Earth.
The Bell? Is it a Bell one?
No, it's called a Robinson R-44, but there's a ton of them everywhere. A lot of private people have them. So ours are blue, and we have one that's blue, we have one that's red, but so does everybody else.
Gotcha. So if I see a helicopter,
Not always me. Unfortunately, we can't claim that everything you see in the sky is.
but what percentage of it, is there people who come and say, I want to see the sharks?
Oh yeah, we get a chunk of that. Not enough, but we get a good chunk. Most people we say, hey, what do you want to do? They say, well, I want to fly over my house. You sure you don't want to see the sharks? Yeah, that'd be nice.
Huh. Well, because I know a lot of the boating community has nicknamed that area Shark Park.
It is Shark Park.
And I follow a lot of people, recreational boaters like myself, and it takes them about 5 minutes to find a shark down there. It's pretty amazing.
Rat Boy was down there, Gary, right?
Rat Boy found one in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can. So what is really amazing until this tragedy started happening, and by the way, I want to unwind something because it's really important to remember. The bay is now full of fish. Like literally the next day after Damon's, the incident down there that I had, the bay became alive. There's bait balls everywhere. Like the fish came in, the food source came in, and all the sharks went back to sleep. So it moves that quick. Like in one day, we changed the dynamic of what the sharks were doing. So we call it Shark Park. And originally, years ago, I saw, all of a sudden I started to see all these little ones, and I went and called all the scientific people I know and said, hey, this is totally different. You guys need to come out and see this. And they saw it, and they were like, oh, whoa, this is weird, and that whole thing blew up on that as the Shark Park came out. So the underpinning is you can go out and watch and see a shark in a very different manner than the teeth and the jaws and the things you want it. You know, if it bleeds, it leads. The sensationalism of news media and all the Christ of everything. I mean, if the news is saying it, they got it at least halfway wrong. So in that whole paradigm, we were taking tours not to show people eating and flying around people. You know, we're showing you the shark from above, and you can see it on the boat. These amazing creatures that are part of this huge, gigantic, and unbelievable ecosystem that we have here in the Monterey Bay, and they're just taking advantage of a hot tub.
Right.
So,
Right.
and you see them in this docile way where they're calm, cool, and collected. You can see the entire creature. You see how graceful they are moving through when you get on the boat. I have a friend of mine, Eric, who just runs the boat out there, and you could pet him. I lost my glasses. I had a pair like this on. I was sitting over. I was going to try and reach down and just see how close I was, and my glasses fell. My glasses started going down. I was so comfortable, and
You were gonna
this
go
is
get
me. I was going to reach down and grab my glasses. You'd want to jump in almost with them and pet them. They're like dolphins from that perspective. So it's a total different experience once you have that interaction so close to a shark. It turns this whole thing of we want to protect animals and blah, 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 right? That's the typical.
Right.
And you don't want to kill sharks. But let me tell you, until you actually have human beings interacting with animals, and this is the reason zoos are there. Until you have human beings interacting with animals, they don't have that connection. And every zoo will tell you this.
Right.
There's more, what was it, Tiger King, right? Every
Oh,
zoo.
yeah.
The one thing I picked out of that stupid show, which I think is amazing, how that thing together.
I binged on that.
I know. So the one thing I took home from that was look, there's more tigers and lions in captivity than there are in actual wild, right? Well, we have more great white sharks you can see in the wild, and you can really see them in the way that they're meant to be. They're in their natural sort, and then it makes you go. It's a good idea because you could turn this in a blink. And I know there's a lot of people watching at home and thinking about this right now. They're like, wipe those suckers out. They're tastier than salmon.
Like Jaws.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Get rid of these things. Let's
Right.
eat them. But that's not really what we should be doing at all. We should be honoring the system out there, respecting the nature. Because as surfers, that's what we do. We're part of this ecosystem. It has to be. We're on a precipice here.
Right, it's a fine line.
And if you let the government do it, you know what they're going to do? They're going to put up like don't swim, or they're going to put up swim. Do something that's just going to be wrong. They're always wrong for just about every first move the governments make. They're like, you sure about that? Because consequences and good intentions, always road to hell's paved and good intentions.
How? So with that being said, is how afraid? And I'm using that word because it's like the Jaws movie thing. How afraid should people be to go and surf down there right now?
It's a healthy amount of fear is always a safe thing. That's what we use in aviation. It's called a healthy amount of fear. Otherwise, you start making stupid mistakes. So you want to be cautious. I would not surf the beaches. I would just drop it off my list, bucket list, if that's what it is. it's just, you're asking
Or
for
do you-
something someday. Now, if you're a risk taker, when I was young, whatever, all bets are off, let's just go for it. I think that's the time of your life when you gotta take risks, you gotta move in a different fashion. As you become more cautious and you have family and you have responsibilities, you need to change gears. And not a matter of if, it's a matter, every time you surf the beaches, a great white shark sees you. Now you do what you need to do with that.
Right.
That's my feeling.
What about
but I'm not gonna,
That's a bold statement.
I don't want to be the
Yeah.
guy I don't want anybody
You
to
gotta
ever
repeat
say,
that.
Chris did not tell us that there was great white sharks.
So
out
every
there.
time we surf
don't get that one going.
every time we surf the beaches, we get seen by a great white shark.
They feel you.
Oh no, they see you. I mean,
Yeah.
if you surf the beaches, I can guarantee. Well, how long you want to surf for? Give me a number.
Well, let's just say an hour and a half. An hour,
then
2
you
hours
had
surf.
then you had probably 10 or so shark passings. It's probably about a 10 or 15-minute sequence.
Didn't you guys do like a stunt where he was gonna, you were on cell phone?
The dumbest thing.
Remember that? 'Cause I remember you were.
Well, so you started that, right? So the idea is, look at how safe it is in the water. Did you actually go? I can't forget.
Remember, we went out there.
Yeah.
When you had that whole media day.
Well, I see so many people I can't remember.
Well, I
Right,
think
and
you
I'm getting that.
paddled
You
right
drove
over.
back. You drove
Yeah.
back. I got in my car. I went and got my paddle board.
But it fogged over, didn't it?
No, I mean from the paddle board you can't see squat.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But you came back by with like the media gals and the thing. There
No, I
was
remember that, but I don't remember you were on a stand-up
I was on a paddle board.
Yeah,
the
that's
red
right.
paddle board.
Yeah, okay, so.
So I'm paddling around going, and you came
Oh,
over.
yeah, it was the red paddle. Okay, right now.
Yeah.
I just have so many, I see it all the time.
Didn't,
so I
didn't you
can't-
go right over the top of it and you're
Well,
like, uh-oh.
He took a picture of some big monster.
So what happened, you didn't see it, the shark sees you and checks you out. This is what's going on every day. You know that whole thing, like you're walking down the street and do you pass people and you go, man, I saw you didn't even look at me. You're down the other side of the street. How did you not notice me? We walk right by each other. You're in your own zone when you're paddling and surfing and everything else. The shark's not. The shark's like watching everything.
I like your theory of that's not their feeding area. You
So,
know?
yeah, and everything I throw out there.
I mean, again, you're not a scientist. Let's
Yeah.
remember that, everybody.
Well,
He's
no,
a pilot.
It's okay because people can talk. This whole thing about here's like everybody brings up science now. There's like okay, you figured the science out in a couple of months. Let me tell you about science and sharks and marine biology. If you haven't been working on it for 20 years, they don't give you a data point. Okay, they're like, we'll see where this goes. Everybody you talk to that's an actual scientist, it's not just like talking. They're very pragmatic and slow and patient. Science doesn't work that fast. You can't come up with anything. We don't have a vaccine for AIDS.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, or SARS.
Right.
We don't have any vaccine.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're getting a vaccine next week. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Nobody in the real industry is going, we'll see what happens. And
Right.
we'll see what happens. We'll see as we get data points along the line. We'll see over time. So we don't know anything about the sharks. But my guess is they eat offshore. And what they look like they're doing is coming in and digesting and sleeping. It looks to me like they're having their babies out there. You see a big fat, you see a lot of big, 10, 12, 15-foot sharks. That was early on the season. And now they're all the smaller ones, and there's just little babies everywhere. Very interesting.
And once the babies are
Hasn't been doing that for years.
born, the mother shark doesn't take care of them. They're on their own.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
There's no
So, it's not like a-
not like
They're
a whale.
Later.
Yeah, it's not like the orcas where they hang
You
out
never
together.
there's no hey, we're nursing. I don't think they eat something. I don't know. You have to have somebody who knows about
But you've
that.
seen like packs of them, but they're not together. They're just like passing each other. And
Yeah, sharks don't like to be. So here's the shark rule. If you're 20 feet from me, I'll go over and smell you, and then I'm leaving. That's what they're always trying to be 20 to 20. They'll check out. They go and check you out. They go check out the meal.
Take a
and then
sniff.
They go, didn't like
they're
that.
like the English guy.
I'm gonna go over here for a little bit.
Mhm.
Now here's a little thing. If you turn at him and you didn't know it, he's gonna go and say, "Is that something new?" And he's gonna go off in his foot. The second time you do that, now he's gonna sit there and circle you. So if you want to play the shark touch game, go find the shark, aim at him again, and now he's awake.
Think
You
about
woke
it.
him up, and now he's gonna come over and check you out for a while. And that's what you do. What do you do when you surf? You paddle out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
paddle for the wave.
Yeah.
When the shark is there, he goes, okay, leave me alone. He goes away, then you paddle over to the next peak, and he goes, why are you checking me out?
Yeah.
And now he circles you, and he goes, let's see this every time I fly. It's like the whole thing is played out every time I go over the beach, and then you catch a wave, and okay, now he's not interested. He goes away. Let's play it over and over and over again.
You probably have seen more sharks and had more encounters than the scientists. Seems
Oh,
to
well,
me.
I'm pretty sure that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I've had more experience, just kind of a total casual observation over a long period of time, day in and day out, right? And so it's like anything in the world. You kind of sit in the street and you watch, you know what's going on in your street. You know when the shopkeeper's there, when the owner's there, you know when the bad kids are, hey, this guy isn't from town. You know, it's the same drill. Like, hey, where'd this guy come from? He's not normal down in these parts. That's different. Like, so we can see the tag sharks. You know, we can see the babies, and you see the whales out there. You know, we see.
You see
You see
orcas?
the white orca. Yeah, the great white orca.
Yeah.
Moby Dick.
And there was, for the past few weeks, there's been a whale floating around.
Yeah, dead whales.
And are sharks hitting that?
Yeah,
Is that like a
yeah, you know,
buffet for
so
them?
well, not really, no, because the shark. I mean, at first, right, it's dead whale's fresh, I guess, and you see these cool shark bites out of it. You're like, whoa, that's a big shark to get. But like, you know that the shark stuff, 10-footer, and you get the big ones. They're so much bigger. This whole thing turns like a shark turns to a whale when they get closer to 20 feet. I mean, it's like a total different ball game. So you'll see some shark bites out, but then they get old and. You know, it's floating on the water for a week or two. Or three, you know, do you want to eat something that's disgusting? I mean, if you're starved, but why would you eat that when you just go out and get some fresh fish?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We fly over the carcass every once in a while, and yeah, there's a shark kind of in the zone. But, you know, it's
That's
not
just
like,
fresh.
It's not like crazy town out there.
Right.
You know. I think most of the, there's a lot of seagulls, right? They're opportunistic. They just sit on top of it and peck at it, whatever they do.
That's really interesting.
It's, but the orca, that's always like a blow your mind moment when you see these. Now that's an animal you don't experience.
They're the head of the food chain, right?
I think they're the head of the world.
Yeah.
You watch how orcas work and the killer whale paradigm that's out there, right? There's the ones that are rogue, that's these rogue pods they call them, I think, and they're out there killing whales. And then there's the other ones that are, in a total different zone, and they are like eating fish and they eat other stuff. And it's weird because you see these ones when they go after a whale, and I've had the very misfortune of watching this, and when you see it on TV, it's horrific, but when you see it in real life, it's like actually, people play video games and somebody gets shot, and you're like, oh, whatever. But when you see it in real life, you actually watch a human being die, it's a totally different thing.
Of course.
On TV does that weird brain thing, or when you read it in a neat paper, but when you see it in real life, it's a totally different experience. And watching killer whales eat a whale, and I watched one eat a smaller gray whale, it's really a little blow your socks off moment, because they'll pick at it, and then they rip a piece of the body off in chunks. And they're doing this in a way, in a fashion, in a mode that is just, you're like, this is very primal, like watching people in a fight. Like a gang fight happening here, and it's just like wild and crazy, and they're just in a different way. And then there's the other group that you see that they're casually eating fish and whatever else, So even inside these pods, we've seen there's kind of a feeding frenzy going on, and a couple of them are really hitting the whale hard, and the other ones are over here just like, whatever, do your job over there.
Right.
It's a really interesting social interaction, and it looks just like if there was a group of people going after a whale and killing it and doing its thing, like, you've seen whale wars and the whale hunting stuff. You're like, that's kind of how it really, there's a group doing this thing over here, there's another group doing this thing over there. They're kind of working together as a team. It's not, they have a brain upstairs that's working at a totally different level than fish.
Remember we had Rappaway on a month ago, and he's seen this, and he said it was really interesting because they go after the baby.
Yeah,
and they'll
smaller,
push, they'll get the mom,
for sure.
the baby rides on the back of the mom, and they separate them.
Yeah.
And he says it's really sad to watch.
Yeah, so, that's exactly the thing, and they'll get up on top of them, kind of drown them and things like that. But, but again, you can watch it on TV all day long. It is sad to see it, but when you see it in real life, you're like, wow, that's a total different thing.
There was that one up in the Farallones, that the orca that killed that great white, and then after that great white was killed, all the great whites left. Did you hear that?
I've heard that story.
Yeah.
But, stuff happens, right? Yeah, isn't it weird? We can sit here and talk for hours
I know.
about our interactions in the surf, in the ocean, and in the stories of what we heard. And we know more about the moon than we do about the oceans. You heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Don't you feel like we're not spending our money in the right spot?
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be nice to know what's in your backyard and what's really happening out there. I mean, we're just barely scratching the surface, and just from you can't see, you don't see you see the surface. I see sometimes 20 feet down. That's all. I'm catching 10 more feet than you, right?
Even more than that.
And a whole different vibe comes out of the whole thing. And that's the problem with the human condition. We're kind of stuck to this. We have to breathe air. And if we want to know what's down there, we got to go down there. And I think that's the big thing. Is I'd love to see more tagging of these sharks. I mean, a lot more. You know, I don't. It's funny. Like you would figure.
What's tagging gonna do? Just
tell you where the sharks are.
Yeah, where they're traveling.
Where there's some groups out there that are doing tagging. There's some sharks. There's obviously some sharks that have been tagged. You wonder why there's not all of them aren't being tagged if possible, you know, or a lot, you know, a significant amount. What is the holdup? Why are we sitting here waiting? You know, is it money? It's not money. Is it you know, the government process? Yeah, it's probably NOAA and everybody else having to have their little government checkbox. Can we get the bureaucracy out of the way for 5 minutes and get some science going? Because we've been sitting on this for years and years and years. And if we knew just a little more, we could, in a safe way, obviously. You don't want to go out and whack sharks. There's a way to do this smartly. I'm sure we can get a group together to create a better system that we can go, okay, we can safely go in the water because we got this data. And no more. It's a fraction of what it would, of the value.
Do you ever feel like, but things are different now because of COVID, but I could just see you at the Rio Theater.
Do I need to go put a mask on?
No, on the stage. Invite all the surfers to come listen to what you have to say, because you know, and it just seems like that would be a great
Well,
event.
we're doing it right now here on Facebook Live. I think it was.
Yeah. Facebook Live on Santa Cruz.
And let everybody know. And if anybody wants to go, we do rides.
How about the beach?
Yeah, there's sharks. Okay.
Everywhere.
I'm gonna just remind you. I see sharks everywhere I fly when I'm looking in the water. It just needs to be clear. Well, not everywhere I fly, but you know, basically from Monterey. I don't really see them out there, but I've seen a couple. But Monterey all the way up to San Francisco Bay. Yes, they're under the Golden Gate Bridge. Yes, they're out at, you know, on the island. They're everywhere now. This isn't like it was 10, 20 years.
Well, I do know they don't like kelp.
I don't know about that.
I've heard that because of the fact they have to be moving, they have the fear of being tangled. What do you think about that? Is that wrong? They like kelp too?
You're right there, the kelp.
Oh boy.
They go right.
Sorry guys. They're at the point too.
Well, so if they bump you and you're inside the kelp bed, fine. If you get in deep enough water, they're going to hit you from the bottom if there's something to be warned. I would say this. I'll tell you how to do your best on preventing a shark attack. And I'm not going to. I guess I should precursor this with. This is my sophisticated wise ass guess.
Mm-hmm.
Make a surfboard that looks more like a black and white zebra. Something that looks like nothing they would normally want to be interested in the wild to eat.
The sea
do not paint your board with a seal on the bottom. Oh, you know, the shorter board stuff, you're usually surfing at break anyway, you're too shallow of water. But if you're going to be off in the deeper water and you happen to have a dark colored bottom board with maybe like a sea lion, some little funky teeth and a fin on, you think that's a cool color scheme, you know, do away with that. Bright, obnoxious stuff that doesn't look like it. And at worst, you may get a test bite, right?
Yellow board.
Yellow?
People, you see, I've seen everything out there, and the boards that, like, you know, the sharks will come up to stuff that looks a little more like, hey, I should check this out. Or you've been kind of prodding by turning, and I had a stand-up paddler, and he was paddling along, and the shark was right in front of him, and that shark at me, and the 20-foot rule, moved away. You know, they have social distancing too. It's 20 feet in the shark world. Because they're so much bigger, right? So he turns, and then the stand-up paddler turns right at him, and that's the thing, you know. And you're like, okay, here's the big giant yellow board effect. And that shark just started going like, hey man, went underneath him, and was like doing these figure eights and everything. And the guy was paddling towards. As soon as he got shallow, the shark just peeled off.
So don't provoke the shark.
How do you know? You don't see him, you know. But I would. It's not a difference of yellow or whatever. We don't know, but I would say if you want to be as safe as you can, shallower water obviously is better. It's not universally.
Fishing on your paddle.
Remember our crazy guest in the wetsuit?
Yeah, Veronica Gray.
Veronica Gray. She makes a shark-proof wetsuit. She says it's striped like a sea snake.
Yeah, stripes. I think that's something. It's like what is in the wild that looks like striped nothing.
But she wouldn't. She wouldn't go to the Fairlawns in it.
Yeah,
oh my God. Okay, so where you don't ever want to go play that game? No, that's if you want to die, if you're suicidal and you think like, hey, you know, how can I invent this better? You just go to Fairlawns, go surfing. That'll end it fast. You can be shark bait, right? If you want to do that.
Do you fly up there much? that right?
Yeah, up the coastline.
Mhm.
Yeah. Enough to know that you don't want to play with the feral ones.
Fishing on your paddleboard. I see a lot of guys.
We'll go out to we take some things out there. I almost once in a while.
A lot of guys fishing at help on their paddleboards. A lot of people.
Yeah,
fishing.
I mean,
yeah.
be cautiously optimistic. I don't know, what do you say to somebody? There's sharks in the water. You go play in the water. So is everything else. I mean, I don't know. If you were on a kayak, look, I'm not doing it. I went out there. I went kayak surfing once, and I having halfway. No, this is years ago, but knowing there's and you know, if you want to get if they take a test bite, what was the gentleman's name that had the kayak? He was doing that. I think the
I
shark
don't know.
bite.
Then it was
But you know,
the kid on the prone board got
Yeah,
the
the
shark
paddleboard.
took a little bite out of his.
So you're a shark, right? And you're a dumb. I call them like dumb pit bulls. That's got up their mentality. They're just this creature with all this power, and they're like happy-go-lucky. But you know, hey, you get them in the wrong mood, and all of a sudden, so you're there, and you want to go get some food, right? What do? You go off in the middle of the bay, and you eat food, but that's a long way. So maybe you should check out what's closer in if there's something there. So they kind of cruise up the kelp line over the 38th, Jack's house up there, and then maybe out to the sewer a little bit. And just hey, is there some easy? Okay, nothing there. Heading out to the bay to get the bigger fish. Smaller ones are gonna eat smaller stuff. The 15-foot plus are gonna eat pinniped. They're gonna eat seals.
Is it like 50% more now than what you used to see?
It's been doubling every year. So was it 100% every year?
So what you're seeing?
1,000% more. I mean, you used to see one, now you see 50. I mean.
So every day or every year, you see more sharks than the previous year.
Yeah. So there was for about 2 years ago. It kind of changed. So we used to count. It was like doubling 1, 2, 4, 8, and then we had a whole ton working the shark park, and then we started seeing a lot more over in Marina, especially the Salinas River now. And now it's split. There's 15 or 20 in the Monterey side, and there's about 15 or 20 on the Santa Cruz side. So if we do a flight from big surf flight, takes us out of that whole route.
Is that part of the social distancing that they're doing? Is they're spreading out?
Yeah, there's something over there they want to eat. But Monterey is different. They definitely move twice as fast as they do in Monterey as they do.
If you want to go surf tomorrow, where would you want to go? Where would you
go?
go?
Anywhere, I would South beaches, but the Lane, 38th, in those places.
Yeah.
Anytime you're on a reef break, but I'm not going out on a big day when it's
deep.
What is it now? Are the waves getting bigger yet? I mean, can we get some? You don't want to go out to Third Peak or something like that, the Lane, because they transit right outside the rock. I've definitely seen that off Seal Rock. I've never seen it between it, but I've seen it outside.
Insane. It's crazy because we never had these talks. It's so it's getting to the point where you're like, do we need shark nets like South Africa? And
okay, so things you don't want to
Australia?
do. Don't do shark nets. That probably pisses them off. I guarantee that's what
Put the pit bull on the fence.
Go out and kill shark. That's a really bad, dumb idea. All the things you just go, look, we're in conservation. Here's what you could do. You want to get rid of the sharks? You go away. You get Noah out of here. And you dump Monterey Bay. You say no more, Mr. Nice Guy. No, Monterey Bay is now no longer a sanctuary or anything. We'll fish the hell out of everything. Human beings will take over. The Japanese will come and eat everything. Whatever. We're gonna make sushi crazy. That's it. Otherwise, you say, look, we like our bay. We don't want a billion boats out there. We like the beauty of the nature that it is, and it will do its thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's happening is because the fall of the Cannery Row was the removal of the bait that they were canning, which has now come back. And then everything that eats that.
Well, Cannery Row canned everything from sardines to blue whales, right?
Right, yeah.
And so you're like, what, this whole, and if you look at the history of Monterey, which is really it's unbelievable history of the Monterey Bay. That used to be obviously the capital of California before. So Spain had it, and Mexico had it for about 25 years. I think they had.
The mission's very cool down there.
And then of course, there's Cannery Row built up and all that stuff from those times, and it was really hopping. And all the whale, you would jump in a whaleboat from the Azores, Portugal, and you'd come out and you'd end up in San Luis Obispo, you'd end up in Monterey Bay, or you'd maybe end up in San Francisco, but you would get a trip to America by jumping on a whaling boat. That was how a lot of people immigrated to this country. My family did that. And it just is one of those things, like you jump on a working boat and you ended up fishing and getting into America. So this is where this whole thing happened. And the Monterey Bay was a great place because it was so alive with the marine animals, everything.
Because of the canyon?
Well, that deep water, so deep water is cold water. Cold water holds more oxygen. More oxygen means the biomass can get bigger and bigger, you know, so that's why Alaska's so.
Right.
full
Well,
of
and they were
life.
hunting seal then.
They were
which
hunting
is
everything,
you know,
right?
like the
Hunt. And then we hunted them out of existence.
Right.
We killed everything.
Right.
Including the great white sharks.
It's just like what a shark wants to do. It wants to eat. Can I be opportunistic, or do I gotta go to, you know, way offshore? And we wanted to eat what's in our bag, you know, close by, and do it easy. There's the cannery, kill it there, pull it in. So we protect everything, and that makes sense, and it makes a lot of sense for today's times. And you look at what the bay is doing; it will do what animals. Has anybody else noticed a lot of animals running around in general?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
because people moved out of their way,
Yeah.
and now they're coming out of the hiding places and they're coming
Coyotes
forward.
are a great example.
Coyotes are a great example. I got thousands of them in my backyard.
Mhm.
If anybody knows how to get rid of coyotes,
No.
jeez.
Well, there, yeah.
So, you know, there's gotta be something going on with the protecting of the bay. I'm not sure if it's
Just
the
the-
biggest mover of the whole
The
thing.
air quality's a lot better when you're surfing today. Like, it seems like the air quality's a lot better.
Well,
The sky,
certainly air quality's
Huh?
Yeah, air quality's
Yeah.
really good.
yeah.
I think I've made the case it's too good, you know, because we went from this dynamic over all these years of burning things, you know, all the environmental everything that's been burning forever.
Yeah.
And then now we got rid of that. Like, I kind of wonder if the trees are going to need more CO2 someday if we keep this up. You know, you're like, one day they eat CO2, we got to breathe more.
Right.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
But here's fun. Are you worried about global warming or ocean warming? Pick one, right? I'm more concerned about ocean warming because you move that sucker, and I know this from flying. You know, you move it a half a degree or 1 degree, and it does it. The fog goes away.
Right.
You're massively changing. I mean, when
The
the fog goes
environment.
away,
Right.
the redwood trees die.
Mhm.
You get many more fires. You
Well-
don't get the humidity. You don't get the water, the vapor.
Melt the poles.
The whole damn thing. You know,
Mhm.
you got to really figure out how this thing works. And so people worry about global warming, and I go, look, I get that. We really got to start watching these ocean temperatures a little more. And all of us that live along the coast and surf along the coast, everybody has an interaction and experience in this whole thing. Like, we've seen stuff, we've felt stuff, we've lived it. And if you lived on the coast for more than 10 years, I mean, it just becomes profound.
Yeah.
So protecting the bay in a smart and ecological way that enlightens what? It enlightens the people that don't live on the coast. We want, you know how we got everything, the coastal commission and everything, you know, on the coastal side of highway when it's so hard to build a house. And it's like, oh my God, this bureaucracy on top of a. They went over to Fresno and Bakersfield and said, these guys are using your beach and they're ruining it for you. You ain't gonna have a beach, you know, you're gonna hate this, you're gonna hate this, and you're never gonna be able, and we know you don't go over there, but one day you might, and when you go over there, you wanna see it all trashed by the locals. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, because that's what we protect, right? We're like, okay, so we got this crazy bureaucracy going, but they're right in a way that's like, look, you gotta sell it up to those people that never see it, because that's the population, that's the larger group and the larger population. So when we look at the Monterey Bay and look at the great white sharks, I don't want people to be scared of the great white sharks. I want them to come out and visit the great white sharks in a thoughtful way.
And
Like
you
the,
were
like the Serengeti or something.
So
you know?
people, let's just talk about this. People can come see with you, right? You can take people out there.
Anytime, yeah.
Specialized Helicopters, how do we get a hold of you and how
All
we...
around the web, you can't find us. Google Specialized Helicopters.
And airplanes too?
Airplanes,
Yeah,
yeah,
airplanes too?
airplanes,
Yeah. You have a biplane?
We got rid of that.
Oh, you
I
got
wanted
rid of
that, I wanted that biplane.
You did?
Yeah, it was like Harley Davidson with wings.
That was a Harley Davidson.
Remember that thing?
Yeah,
That thing was
It's
badass.
funny, you figure everybody wanted to take a ride, but they didn't want to do that, so we just.
They didn't?
Well, is it 'cause of open cockpit or something?
It did like 10 miles an hour and it sounded like a Harley Davidson.
I think it's too much for most people these days. It's
Yeah.
a little, it's the newer, the old days, people were kind of tougher, but like, that's not, I can just put it that way, you know, that way that aircraft is, open cockpit, bugs and wind in your face, that
Yeah, it was
huge Renault
cool.
engine. I mean, it's a lot, so you had to want to get on the back of that thing.
I feel like we've come to this reality, and talking to you tonight, I feel this more than ever, that shark encounters are not going away.
Well, it's like you said. It's like you said. But I'm going to take away from tonight. I'm walking out tonight, they're going to drive down the street and go, if I go swimming down at Memory, so anywhere down the beaches, I am going to be seen by a shark.
Yes.
You are visited by a
I'm
shark.
visited by a shark.
Within 20 feet. Okay, here's another thing. You know, people go, oh, you know, how do you prevent sharks? Well, don't pee.
Oh, yeah.
People go, it's blood, don't bleed in the water. Okay, wait a second. Seals don't go around bleeding all day, they go around peeing. So it's like, you can see, so how do I, why do I
And surfers pee in their wetsuit like every
I
time.
know, like we're always peeing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, you kind of make the joke, but I think, you know, you've seen the sharks follow up the back of things. Like, for some reason, they'll track something and they go to the rear end of whales, they go on the rear end of whatever, and they like, it's not that I don't think they're actually doing a sneak attack.
Mhm.
It's like they're going, where's the urine? Because they can't see up there. You know, they're
Mhm.
smelling whatever you just left
Hmm.
behind you. And they come up in that rear zone because you're kind of going this way and they're
So
following
don't
behind you.
pee. And
Well, you know, you had your stand-up paddleboard or
Yeah.
your kayak, or you maybe had, and there's like a little bit of lipids or you know something coming off of that, and they just that's what they're attracted to.
They're really smart.
They scare you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Neil's like, oh my God.
Now I know.
Everybody watching, are
My
you?
enemies. You know, I'm not
We need a
my
bigger
enemies.
boat.
next time I leave, I go, what the hell?
This is scare the hell out of
Second,
us.
go back to 38.
Well, hey, your post on Facebook kind of had that urgency vibe to it.
It's not going away. This is going to get worse. I think we're going to have more accidents, unfortunately.
That was kind of my point. The
Yeah.
encounters, because of the increase.
Encounters will increase as they have. I mean, I've seen little sharks jump out of the water. We're going
Right.
to see a lot more jumping out of the water,
Mhm.
not because it's like, you know, some special. It's like this is what they do. You just didn't notice it before. And yeah, I think we're going to have more attacks.
Well, there's analogies for that. I mean, look at cars are getting broken more. Well, I wonder why. We have more of a meth issue and we have more, you know, crime. And
Bigger
so,
problem, more people, heavier hitting stuff, you know, interactions like that. You just get on a scale of just, you know, 1 to 0. I put this at, or sorry, 0 to 10. I'd put us at in the Monterey Bay on the 8.5, maybe getting to 9 zone.
and also too, another thing too is think about this. The population you say that you see grows every year, which means there's more little guys growing to be big guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so these big, yeah, that's another problem. So we have all these sharks in the bay right now, and they're smaller. They're not really hitting the seals because it's just a tougher thing for them to do. They're going to grow up, and they're going to go up to Año Nuevo, and they're going to go to Farallones, and what are they going to do there? They're going to be in competition, and so, you know, there you go.
Aggressive.
They're going to be hungrier.
Mhm.
There's going to be a pushback, right?
Yeah.
So,
But I must say, if anybody has had doubts tonight
Yeah.
on watching the show, please go get in the helicopter. Have Chris take you out there. Also, check out your surf break. It's so fun to see your
Yeah.
the break that you want your house or whatever you're surfing at. It's very, very cool.
So
I mean, go
But-
up on the cliff and watch them.
yeah, you can, yeah, or if
Yeah.
your friend with a boat wants to, you are able to do that. But
Yeah.
so just so the listeners get an idea, what's the percentage of the flights that you take that you could see a shark?
Every time. Again, I say no.
Yeah, I used to say every time, but you know, it's like then you don't see them, and somebody gets all, you know.
Yeah, but there's an 80% chance they'll see a shark.
Okay, here's high pressure. It's what? It's calm, and it's clear. Okay, there's no excuse to not see a shark when you want to see it. The problem is you just need to look at Windy or one of the
Mhm.
weather apps. You know, it says calm winds over New Brighton, and it just has to be the clear water.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not so clear, you may see one. If on the murkiest day, usually you can see one. But when it's clear, that one turns into 20, or you know, depending on how long you want to fly for.
Mhm.
A lot more, but you know, it's not, and again, it's not really about going and seeing the sharks. You know, that's really a cool thing, but the entire Monterey Bay.
Right, it's amazing. Yeah,
opens
and the
up
view
great.
from up
Are
there.
you okay with your kids or kids playing in the shore break, or maybe just from here to that T-shirt?
Well, they're in the shore break.
You right?
The sharks are in the shore break.
Yeah, if your feet are in the water, there's a smaller one or something like that. So, you know.
Sorry, Neil.
Now the bigger ones that would inadvertently bite your foot, right? I mean, we haven't seen that.
Yes.
You know,
But
no,
didn't the gal
they're
in the one
inside
attack we
sea.
had in Manresa, wasn't she wading in the water that time when she got her leg bit?
Yeah, I mean, you get into an issue where the sharks actually go in and out of the surf line. So you know, if you're on the outer break, right, they're inside. The majority is inside of you.
Oh, that's great.
And then they'll go, so if they're swimming in that fashion, they're in the they want to be in the warmest water. And they like the little air, extra oxygen, I guess, it seems to me. And they float in that zone. So when they're going off deeper, they're kind of, it might be a pass, but on their way out to eat. When we don't have food in the bay, they're zigzagging to the deep end, coming to the shallow end. Deep end, shallow end. And they'll sit along here's what you don't want to do. Here's a trick. So you're out there, and it's really murky on the shore break, right? And you paddle out, and all of a sudden it's really clear, and it's deep water. Well, that's the transition period. So you floated out from a murky, they can't see you, to a clear zone, and they're coming out of the murk, and they're like, wow, I'm kind of starry-eyed from being in the murk, and there's this thing, I should hit that. And I've seen that in real life when they hit seals. I've seen him try to hit a dolphin. Let me tell you what's really weird. Watching a very large, I don't know how many pounds, like whatever, a 15-foot great white shark weighs, probably thousands or something. Accelerate like a trout hitting a lure.
Like your car.
Yeah, like my car. It's like it's insane to watch it act like a little fish.
So they
Huge
swim around
animal.
and they look lazy and happy, but they can put on the gas.
They will hit the gas. It's not a very long shot.
Mhm.
It's like maybe it's 20 feet or so, something like that, from what I've seen. But there's no dolphin that's gonna pull it off, or there's a luck. You'll get lucky. It's like the lucky miss. But
Wow.
they're very big and very powerful. So that's why and they have teeth. That's the there are.
They got teeth,
Okay,
yeah.
let's do this. Let's play this game.
I kind of have a little anxiety
Okay,
right now.
What is the scariest thing on earth if you were confronted by it? What animal would freak you out the most if you were sitting there?
Something with big teeth.
Is there anything more scary than the great white shark?
No, great white shark, because the movie did it.
I mean, orca, they're so soft and cute looking. They don't look like.
But they don't attack you.
Well, at the animal, you go to SeaWorld and they're like hugging the
Oh,
orca.
amazing.
There's no great white at
Nobody's kissing a
SeaWorld.
great white shark.
Yeah.
But when you see them in Monterey Bay, and when you've been on you said you were on the boat, right?
Mhm.
So you're almost like, oh, look at that, it's so interesting.
Mhm.
You're seeing the top side, this whole gentle, soft part of it. If it was to roll over and show you its eyes and its teeth sitting there gaping with a mouth agape, you might have a different feel about it. But they're just this creature that is cruising along that can snap on you in a heartbeat, and that's the whole.
We
fear
saw it.
factor.
Right.
At Jack LaMille's
Jack
paddle
paddle
out, this
yeah.
shark leaped out of the water and its
Pissed
lips
off.
were pulled back, its mouth was open.
Yeah, that thrusting, forward jawline.
It was insane, and its back was arched, and it
Pissed
was
off.
pissed off.
Well, imagine seeing that in a trajectory towards a surfer, and that's what I was picking up on, and that was what spurred this whole
Mhm.
back to the
That
surf.
man is very lucky.
Circling
Back to
back,
social media.
I really hope I had nothing to do with it, that the shark was not doing it.
Saving Damon's life.
I'm
Who knows?
not going to say I saved his life. I'm going to say I'm really fortunate to have seen it. And if something happened, he was by himself, and we could have easily dropped in there and taken care of it.
Mhm.
Hopefully, but it's one of those things where it's like, dude, surfing by yourself is probably the bigger mistake.
You know what's funny is after listening to what you have to say, is they put these signs up there that shark there, don't surf here for another week.
Yeah, that's silly.
Right?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Right?
Yeah.
They-
So what they need to do is, and we should start to think, is really, what they really need to do is say, this is a great white shark, habitat zone.
Shark Park.
Something, and just put that at all the park. Because again, it is really surprising me, after all these years, we still find people that are going to the beach and that are, surfing, that go, gosh, I can't believe I didn't know there were sharks out there. And people we get this on Facebook all the time, let me put this to bed. When are they there? As if I'm going to telling them that when I see them, the shark that's it, just magically arrived. No, they are there 300 a year. Like and they're mostly around 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock they come. Like in the mornings they're there. Very few of them they're out scattered around. It's like 2 o'clock is the cluster time. So they're the majority of that. But that doesn't matter. They're always in and out, and they're always there. So again, you're getting seen by a shark every time you surf. But we should have signs. It would make sense, and I still can't.
It totally makes sense.
I don't understand the compelling
Shark
argument against-
habitat.
Yeah, shark habitat. Just so you know, swim at your own warning. Now,
Well, it's like one day the beach attracts tourists, attracts money. We need
Right.
and I want
We
money
can't
to come.
close the beach.
Don't close the beach.
I am big on free everything up. If people want to go to the beach, great. Let's figure out how to make everybody get to the beach. They want to surf, go surf, please. Let's do that. Let's just show them, hey, you be the adult, please, and here's your risk analysis, and this is the thing, and I don't want to go through the whole thing like the state of California. There's a big sign says, what's that, cancer? Things that cause cancer. You're like, okay, carpet causes cancer.
Or peanut butter.
Now that I have peanut butter and carpet in my facility, we got to put up a sign. You're like, that's ridiculous. But we're focusing on that lame stuff where we should really be worried about. We can't get a shark post up there that says,
Right.
hey, everybody, just in case you want to know, there's great white sharks in the park.
Let's circle back to Damon. Since you had this encounter with him being stalked by a shark, and you talked to him on social
I have
media.
not talked about it.
You had your social media?
And basically he said, hey, thanks, and wrote a nice little thing on Facebook, and I went, hey, anytime you want to go see this stuff, get in the helicopter, we're going.
Has he mentioned anything about changing his?
No, that would be a great. This is a great next show. It would be fantastic to have a conversation with everybody we can get together as a group that has interactions with these, that have physical contact, interaction with these sharks in a meaningful way, and then have a discussion about maybe there's something we could do to kind of promote the bay in a sense, and safety, and like just a thought process, because again, it boils down to, it's really strange, that everybody doesn't know this, we should be careful. Where are, in other places on Earth, where do people go and see great white sharks? South Africa?
Australia, West Coast of Italy, right?
Yeah. We've heard of these places. Why is it not the Monterey Bay? You know,
Right.
does it take that long? I mean, you know, does it take that much effort and energy to put this word out, you know? And I think everybody, and I really mean this, the bottom of my heart, is everybody's gonna boat and go out to Shark Park, float there, and see these sharks, you know, get a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Anything bigger than a kayak, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But go park and see them in their natural state while they're calm, cool, and collected. And yes, I know people are going to say something along the lines of, I mean, I can hear this already. You're disturbing the sharks, da 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 da. Seriously, you know, if you've ever been in the water, if you're ever in a swimming pool, your parents can't hear you when you're yelling at you, but you hear everything in the pool for hundreds of miles. Like, if you're in a boat in the Monterey Bay, I'm pretty sure every whale and every shark knows you're there. Okay, it's loud and annoying. And coming in a way in a boat, just being a polite boater, right? And just motoring in there and then shutting off and sitting for 20, 30 minutes. They could care less about boats than you. I mean, as a matter of fact, it's like, you're not waking them up, it's their normal thing, it's just like walking down the street. So I don't see any change whatsoever from any whale, any shark. I mean, they are what they are, and they can care less about human beings.
Every contact I've seen in that example of boating next to the sharks could care less.
Yeah.
They're just doing exactly what they ate, and they're just in cruise mode.
Yeah, and this is a very layman term. I mean, here's the problem with the world, right? You go, well, we really got to worry about, you know, how we interact with animals, because animals, let's take birds, for example. You know, we don't want to harass birds because they'll jump off their nests, and then the babies won't be, okay, things are doing good in the Monterey Bay. Everything's really been going better and better, and there hasn't been less dogs or people interactions that they all these things. And birds, by the way, are scared of a shadow. I mean, you can't be more scared than a bird. That's their natural state. So some animals are just in a natural fight or flight, we're going to die no matter what state.
Right.
And there's a lot of them. So therefore, one interacts, they all so there's like chain reaction. And I get that. These people are so over worried about this. But, you know, I at one point you got to say, we want to figure out how to work together. And what's more important, you know, us being able to experience the sharks and the nature and the environment as human beings. Is the human being important in this whole paradigm?
Yeah.
Or is it, look, we don't want people on Earth, get rid of them, the world would be better without them. You have to figure out how that is. And I would say this, don't have kids and move. Because that ain't gonna, California is not the place, but I wanna have my children raised in a place that is clean, connected, and they're able to buy a house, right? And live where I grew up. And that is so challenging in California. Has any of you, I mean,
My kids left California.
if I hear another guy that I'm gonna tell you guys an experience. It's totally tangent. Let me vent for a minute. I'm in my helicopter with some extremely rich people and a really much richer person. And rich being, you know, they could do anything, the world is their oyster, they're comfortable, they're younger, things are happening, life is good. And we got a lot of people in this community like that. And I'm not gonna name names or tell you anything other than that, it's known as. But there's 4 millionaires in the back seat of my helicopter, 1 billionaire in another seat in the aircraft. And we're having this great interaction, lovely, wonderful people. I mean, they earned every penny, and you just, you know, salt of the earth people. And the 4 in the back seat are telling me how hard it is to live and afford to live in Santa Cruz or in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, basically. And it's just like, oh my, and I say to the boss, I go, hey, what's going, how much, are you paying these people? You know, are you making enough? And he goes, oh, you're making close to $1 million or over $1 million a year.
Wow.
So,
you hear that? They're all making over $1 million a year.
Just to put it in perspective of how expensive it is to live in California.
Yeah.
Yet we turn around and every second of every day somebody tells you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not good enough, you human being, you're bad, you're just, you know, you should do this, you should behave and obey, and we're doing the right thing, and you need to spend more money, or whatever it is. You know, it's like the never-ending challenge. And I go, okay, if the millionaires are having problems, let's just trickle that down, and let's look at what the poor have. The middle class that used to be middle class is now lower class. If you don't make $150,000 a year in Santa Cruz, California, how do you have 3 or 4, 2 kids? How do you have 4 children? And you can't. The answer is you never get enough. You force it, and it's really odd to be in a paradigm like that. Let's juxtapose that to the Monterey Bay. Let's look at the wildlife and all the things that are out there that we're not experiencing because we're so focused on having to make a buck and dealing with family problems and all these difficult issues. It's like, that's our one sanctuary. That's our one thing we can do. We can go out and have a good time. And it's sad we have to be worried about sharks, but we have to work as a team out there to create a better bay. And so
we're lucky to have a national marine sanctuary out there.
And I want to make sure that as shitty as it can be in California to live here, that we have this little jewel to enjoy. Because they will take it from you. And the bay is, I don't know who the hell it is, but tell them to go away. Enjoy your bay and be thoughtful and careful and mindful of it. Because it will be gone before you know it. You will be a millionaire and unable to live in California.
And have the ice cream shop pick up that plastic cup.
Well, what I wanted to say on that same line is getting back into the bay and sort of, I guess, going full circle of this whole conversation. In the last 50 or 60 years, we've had 2 shark encounters that were large physical harm. Even we had a tragedy with Ben Kelly. Is it gonna get worse? I want you. I mean,
I thought we already answered that.
But is this?
You got more sharks there are.
Yeah, because
then the odds are great. The odds are.
Well, we've gone years and years and years with not having anything except for a few bumps and tastes.
No, it's gonna get worse. Yeah, shark interaction will get more pronounced. They're gonna get bigger. There's gonna be more. Somebody else is gonna die. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think that's I don't think that's a bad. I think losing 1 or 2 people, right? Unfortunate as it is, it doesn't make up the greater. It's like you don't just stop doing something. Look at COVID.
Right.
Okay? There is no such thing as a good loss of life. I mean, it just doesn't work, right? So we go, okay. There's 100,000 people who have died of this brand new disease that was, spawned from, you figure out where it came from, but it's here to stay. Is it going anywhere?
No.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Well,
if you don't get it, you're gonna be lucky. You like win the lottery, right? Keep that in mind. People say that 1% runs the world. That's 1 out of 100, and I always say 1 out of 100. That's 1 out of 100 chance to be a millionaire and rich. The lottery doesn't give you those kind of chance. This bay that we have in the Monterey Bay, and there's bays all over the world. Those are 1 in a billion chances that you get to enjoy that. It's just such a freak of nature, right? The uniqueness of these areas that we have on the coastal zones and some of these beautiful mountain zones that we get to enjoy around the coastal sections. I mean, doesn't that blow your? It is worth whatever it is. It is worth everything. And if you get to enjoy that, and unfortunately you have the misfortune of being killed by a shark, you die doing something that is really
100%.
People say, "Oh, Chris, you fly," and all this. I go, "Look, if I die flying, that is the coolest thing that can happen."
Right. Yeah.
Something
you enjoy.
I don't want to die of cancer and things like that. I want to die in a weird way. I don't want to die getting hit by a car. And you know what your chances of getting hit? People always are freaked out about helicopters. They go, you have a significant chance of getting killed by a car.
Right. More so than a helicopter.
It is your chances of dying in a helicopter are far less than walking down the street.
Yeah.
Well, and knock on wood, you've never had an accident, right?
Luckily, we carry a 100% safety record. And
Yeah.
if you want to go into the Kobe thing, I mean, that was ridiculous. But it is so unfortunate because helicopters are magnetic to everything. And if I got to hear about an accident in New York, I go, thank God I don't have to hear about all the drunk driving accidents in New York.
Right. Yeah.
But as we talked, I brought up all those talking points, and that's why it parallels to this gorgeous scenery you get to play in, and that's why you need to go out there and enjoy it and learn how to enjoy it in a fun and safe manner, and be enlightened, right? Okay, I am surfing. Maybe I could take a little extra. Look, a big shark bite on your leg. If it doesn't, it'll rip you apart and be the worst day of your life potentially. But if you survive, that's way better than dying. And I think, unfortunately, you got to take some precautions to hey, if I get hit, one thing. If I get eaten, that's another thing. So, buddy system, right? And we do that all the time. but don't not go out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Don't
going.
surf alone, Neil.
I'm going in town. Hey, Chris, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Chris Gullarte from Specialized
Thank you,
Helicopters.
everybody.
Take a ride.
Yeah,
It's
so
a lot of
go to the
fun.
website.
Come buy some
Specialized.
boards.
Yeah, that's Specialized Helicopters. Are you a few days advance notice to get a ride in a
Yeah,
helicopter?
you just look at the website, you
Yep.
call and get everything going. Yep.
Awesome.
Super simple.
And then you currently have 11 different planes and
Well, yeah, we
helicopters?
got lots of planes. We have 2 locations, one up in
Mhm.
Hayward and San Francisco Bay, and we're down here too. So, look at the website, check it out,
Mhm.
and get going. Take your
Wow,
family.
that is-
Staycation stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Congratulations to the success.
Say,
Thank you.
well, John Rivera from Caldwell
He
Banker.
was here yesterday.
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Sean Rollby from Farmers Insurance, who does surf Manresa. I know
Sean,
Manresa.
better buddy up with this guy.
Sean, listen to the show, buddy. Listening stacks open, get your earplugs for the winter time.
Yep.
The kayak connection. I drove by.
Are they renting
I
kayaks?
drove by the Elkhorn Slough.
Mhm.
Kayaks.
Okay, good.
They
Good to
went,
hear.
fuck it, I'm renting kayak.
Good to hear.
So you get a kayak at the Elkhorn Slough. I think maybe even the Santa Cruz Harbor.
Are there sharks in the Elkhorn Slough?
Little teeny ones.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
Okay, that's good.
Surf
No,
City
these others
Sandwich.
are
I think
perfect.
Big from Surf City Sandwich.
Big.
But I think Timmy from Pono.
How about Chill Out Cafe? Were they?
Where they roll the frickin' fatties,
Yes,
my
they
friend.
do.
I want to thank Beach Nest Vacation Rentals. I hope they're back and running up soon.
Excellent.
Numa from Aloha Island Grill.
Beautiful. How about Brother Timmy?
Brother Timmy. I want to
Yeah.
thank the guys from Star Betting. I hope they're open soon.
I know. We
We
gotta
need
get
to
this place
back
up. Yeah, we really do.
I know, yeah.
All these people are closed.
There's a way to
and
do this, we
screwed.
just need to be smart about it, but yeah, absolutely.
But we are open here at the Santa Cruz Boardroom, everybody.
I want to thank also Jamie. Jamie Jensen from Santa Cruz Core. I'm gonna get a massage. I don't care. I'm gonna get a massage. Dude, I need one, buddy.
How's the weight? How you doing?
It's not bad.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you know we work out that the whole band thing. Do we need to apologize for the band thing? Or are we good?
We're good.
We're
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, yeah, we're
I
good.
think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we.
And who's next week? Everybody, tune in.
Next week. Who's next week?
Uh-huh.
You know who's next week? I don't have his name in front of me because it's on my phone. The head of the CHP.
Oh, it's the new head of the
The
CHP,
new head
right?
of CHP.
For the Santa Cruz and Monterey County.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Head of CA. You want to
Yeah.
talk to him?
Okay, that's
You
awesome.
can take it. You need any tickets you need to get written off?
Chris, thank you for coming tonight.
You're so welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I have
having
a
me.
little anxiety.
Well,
That's, you know, it's-
I'm
yeah.
really
Yeah.
honored and pleasure. It's pleasure's all mine. I'm so glad we can get the word out a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think education's important.
I
To
think-
be aware,
I
Talking
think,
about it's where it's
I
at.
think-
buddy system.
I think what we need to do is have what you said is have an evening, like an event, here at the boardroom,
Mhm.
right? Invite whoever wants to come talk about the sharks, listen to what you have to say, and just get
Why
the
don't we get some
get
people that
educated.
know what
Yeah.
they're talking about?
Mhm.
I can give you some perspective, but I think there's some really interesting people in Monterey Bay that would.
Stay tuned, folks. I think that's a great idea. We'll do
Okay.
that. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Santa Cruz Waves. Thank you for having us on your Facebook
And you
page.
can see the show tomorrow on AlternateRadio.com, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts,
Everywhere?
everywhere.
Just Google it. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Awesome. Woo! I talked a lot.